Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us this morning for our New Year's 2023 beginning a new ceremony. Those gathered together in the hall and those online. We have many online this morning. So why don't we just begin with some meditation? It's always a good way to begin anything.
The Dharma body is bringing morning light. In concentration, our hearts are at peace. A half smile is born upon our lips. This is a new day. We vow to go through it in mindfulness. The Son of Wisdom has now risen, shining in every direction.
There is no better practice to calm the mind than practice of loving kindness and gratitude. Thai Nhat Hanh used to lead us through meditations where we'd become aware of the eyes and express our gratitude to our eyes for the gift of sight, all the things that we see with the eyes, for the ears and the gift of hearing, all the sounds of the world, sounds of people's voices, birds. The eyes and the ears, so much the way we know the world, and yet we never notice until they're absent. So let us notice the gift of taste, touch, smell. These simple things that make our humanness possible. Become aware, be grateful, appreciate. The gift of awareness that we can be conscious. That we're capable of thought, capable of feeling. And through our senses and our consciousness, that we connect, that we interconnect, that we be and interbe. So much that we take for granted. And these things I just mentioned have nothing to do with what's going on in the external world at all. The gift of life. It is up to do with life as we will. But life is a gift, full of potential. This precious life that we've been given. Let us take a moment to concentrate our mind in this way. To cultivate appreciation, gratitude. Adhan always reminded his students to smile. He called it an essential mudra. It's a smile that comes from inside. It's not dependent on what is going on outside. In Zen, it is said, every day is a good day when nothing hangs in the mind. Let us all be fresh for this new year. If having a little half smile on our face feels a little awkward, a little self-conscious, that's okay. Over time, we may get used to it, prefer it. So today is January 1st, 2023, and this is our beginning a new ceremony. It's become a tradition now for several decades. So as we all know, years are arbitrary. The universe, the cosmos, does not know about years, days, and months, decades, or eons. It's beyond all that. But, human beings, for all kind of good reasons, we have, created the world of time. Unfortunately, for many, it has become a source of suffering, but it doesn't have to be. Just a way to keep track of things. That's all it is. And so today we'll sort of focus on keeping track of the year, past, present, and future. So we may look back on 2022 from our personal vantage point, personal our personal views, our personal take on things, our personal sense of good and bad, right and wrong, wanted, unwanted. And we may judge and evaluate the past year. And everybody has their own unique way of deciding whether it's been a good year, a bad year, a mixed year. Let me share with you, from a Buddhist point of view, which means kind of what we call dharma. This world is called samsara. Maybe you've heard that word. Samsara means it's the world of change, a world that is characterized by impermanence. Whether this was the world that the Buddha lived in over 2,600 years ago, or the world that we're living in now, it's always this world of samsara. And what goes on in samsara? Change, endless change, endless impermanence. And what are the winds that blow through this world of ours? The world of happiness and unhappiness, gain and loss, pleasure and pain, fame and infamy, up and down, the wanted and the unwanted, right? Violence and nonviolence, peace and war, goodness and whatever the opposite of goodness is in your vocabulary. So this is the world we live in. And the winds of this, of the way the world is, are endlessly blowing through it according to causes and conditions. And this is the way it is. It has been this way since beginningless time, as long as human beings have been around in this world. And that is neither a, that is not a bleak assessment. The Buddha was not into bleak assessments. He was very scientific. This is just the way things are, from his just objective observation of what goes on in human life, right? So this is the world we live in. This is the world we were born into. It is also the world of birth and death, right? Birth, death, health, ill health, youth, aging, old age. It's all just part of it, that we're endless cycling through. So the choice really for each of us, is how do I live a good life, a wholesome life, a happy life, an open-hearted life in the midst of this world of change and impermanence, where the winds are always blowing this way, and now every time we think it's finally blowing this way, it blows the other way. And when we think it's blowing the way we don't want it to blow, and we think, will this ever end? And then it ends, and something else happens. And that's just the way it is, you see. So the Buddha Dharma and the Buddha is here to show us another way. A way how to live in the world, but also a way to cultivate deeply within ourselves a different sensibility, a different understanding that allows us to show up in the world no matter what, with a half smile. So every day is a good day when nothing hangs in the mind, puts the onus on us, you see. I can't put the onus on the world, you see, and how it's going today, how it's going for me. In that sense, we give away our power, our basic humanity when we do that. So the Dharma is a way to kind of bring it back home to us, so to speak, take control of our life. So today we're going to go through a process that will allow us to enter this new world with a sense of freedom and openness, purpose, direction. The phrase beginning anew comes from Thich Nhat Hanh. It's like we've just adopted it for New Year. Basically, his teaching was, every moment is a new beginning. Every day is an opportunity to begin anew. But today we're going to go big for the whole year. And for those of you who, have heard the talk I give based on A Christmas Carol and the Life of Scrooge, to me, again, that's the model. And that'll be the model we follow today. First is like Scrooge, with the first spirit that led him. It was the spirit of the past. Many of us don't have a good relationship with our past. Our past is what has conditioned us. But for many of us, it's not simply that the past has conditioned us. We are, for many of us, the slave of our past. We believe we have no choice but to be the product of our past. But that is not true. Why is that not true? Because essentially there is no past. Past is something that we create by thought. In reality, reality means something you can touch, experience directly. We would all acknowledge what? The past is gone. Is that not true? We logically know that. We can have memories, we can see photos, but it doesn't, the past does not exist in any real way, you see. It is because of that we can be free of it, if we understand that. So the first journey, and if you remember in the Christmas Carol, it was a painful journey for Scrooge. It's like, ooh, I don't want to see that. I don't want to remember that. I don't want to, right? But the Spirit said, come on. This is the journey, you see. This is the journey. And Buddhism has a deep understanding that it is very difficult, if not impossible, to move into a transformative path. And Dharma is a transformative path. It's about how ordinary deluded beings like ourselves can become Buddhas, enlightened beings, with all the qualities of an enlightened being. So that transformative process has to begin with a full acknowledgement of our basic journey up to now. And for many of us, this is not easy because we are so personally identified with it. We think it is us. But remember, Scrooge, he was able to kind of objectively travel, right? And objectively, third party, observe himself. As a child, as a youth, as adolescent, at his young 20s, and he was able to observe it objectively and see the whole picture, right? Most of us, our picture is very we only look at it through our own eyes. We don't see the bigger, the bigger context of our life, of our family, of our parents, of, just the whole situation, what we call in Buddhism causes and conditions that affected us. So the first thing we'll be doing this morning, not your whole life, that would take more than what we have today, but at least for the year. Really take a look back. So repentance in Buddhism means an acknowledgement of unskillfulness, an acknowledgement of shortcomings, an acknowledgement of all those moments when we might have caused suffering to ourselves, caused suffering to others. Acknowledgement of wrong choices, bad intentions. You know what I'm talking about? All those moments when you look back and you go, ooh, that was not good. Yeah, really. Or even if at the moment you were very self-righteous and thought you were good, you look back and you go, from this bigger perspective of how you really want to be in this life, you go, no, that wasn't really helping me in my transformation. It was sort of just keeping me in the same place. So this is important, again, because, well, at least deeper in Buddhism, in terms of our transformation, we want to go into the practices unburdened, you see. We want to unburden our hearts. Right? And the simplest way to do that is just full acknowledgement. There's nothing, it's a very impersonal process. As I said earlier, the problem is where we take it too personally. We identify with it too much. This is like third party. We just you sort of see yourself as Scrooge saw himself. You see, he can kind of watch himself and you go, or that was, oof. Wow, that did not create good karma. That was not good. Is that clear? I mean, this is important. We make everything about me. It's not about you. It's your ability, the ability to see the actions of one's own body, speech, and mind, and be able to kind of go skillful, unskillful. That's all. So again, the first part will be that full acknowledgement. We'll be writing them down. And then we'll be going outside and burning them. So we can be free. We acknowledge, repentance means, I am sorry. I feel bad that I might have been doing a disservice to myself and my higher aspiration, or that I might have caused suffering to others, even inadvertently. You look back, you go, I thought I was doing good, but I certainly messed that one up. It's like that, you see? So it's the whole range. Yeah. So we will write those down and we will then burn them. And when you burn them, and we will have a little gatha, we'll all recite together a little poem. The inner sense is a sense of freedom. I am not burdened by my past. I'm not ashamed of my past. I am not hiding from my past, you see. I fully acknowledge everything. Because in Dharma we know that it's because we are not awake, you see. Because we're not awake. Because the lights are not totally turned on so we can see everything clearly, see the future effects of our actions clearly, because we don't have that kind of insight and awareness and mindfulness. We act unskillfully, right? We kind of stumble about. And so we acknowledge that. Is that clear? But there's no blame. I mean, Americans, we love blame and guilt, don't we? We just kind of revel in that blame and guilt. Totally useless kind of process. Again, it's good to have a conscience. It's good to acknowledge wrongdoing, right? Unskillfulness. But we want to move on. Okay. So then we will be doing that reflection, and then we'll be coming back to the hall, and we'll be having like a little ceremony for beginning anew, taking it from the Plum Village chanting book, the chanting book of Plum Village community, Thai community, taking it from there. And then so that's kind of the present, that's what we're doing. And then the third part, again, everybody notices that you have these little cards. There's a purpose to them for those who have not been here before. One purpose is for the writing down, right? All the unskillfulness and all the, just kind of fill it up. And if you need more, just raise your hand. I know there are a lot of heavy duty sinners in the hall today, so, if you just really want to, really get down into the minutia, feel free to. So that's one card, and that's the one that we'll be putting in the fire. And again, when you put it in the fire, don't just toss it in. Feel like, yeah, I get it. I know wholesome from unwholesome, skillful from unskillful. I'm clear. And so after that ceremonial part, then we'll set our intentions for the new year, right? Again, this is important, that we go into the new year with a very clear sense of direction. In our practice, we know that the only thing more powerful than the energies from our past karma, a lot of which we've inherited from our ancestors, our parents, our families, our society, so all this cultural peer, all this energy, there's only one thing more powerful than that, and that is the power of aspiration. Strong aspiration, strong intention, strong commitment, that no matter what's going on around you, you're clear the direction of your life. This is very important. We can find ways to get support to nurture that, but the aspiration, the intention, the commitment has to be ours. The more conscious that is, the more that we know it, and the more that we live it day by day, the better chance we have that we will succeed. Many of us don't succeed in our spiritual life and living the way we want to live because our intention, aspiration, it's too foggy or it's too intermittent. You see? It's not strong enough. So very easy for other influences, The forces of the world are very strong, right? The forces of this culture, the forces of media, very strong. The forces of distraction are very strong. We live in a world of pleasure seeking, very strong culture, consuming, getting, right? So these are things, these are the messages we're primarily receiving, you see. And so to have a different kind of aspiration for what the meaning and purpose of life is, each of us is responsible for nurturing it. We kind of have a community, centers, whatever, reading to nurture that. But it's got to be ours. So it's very important that on this first day of the new year, we kind of get clear. What really is my aspiration? What is the kind of deep spiritual aspirations of my heart for my life? What does that look like in reality? How am I going to manifest that day to day? Choices, you see what I'm saying? I mean, it starts big, like aspiration is big, right? I want to climb the mountain. I want to get to the mountaintop, big. All right, how are you going to get there? Do you have the map? Do you know what the journey's about? Do you have everything you need for the journey? Right? Have you trained enough, strong enough, healthy enough? See what I'm saying? I mean, so, the aspiration is deep. I want to be awake. I want to be a loving person. I want to have an open heart. I want to be more compassionate. You know what I'm saying? I want to be more wiser. I want to be, I want to be enlightened. I want to, all those wonderful things, right? That's the mountaintop. Okay? What does that look like today, you see? What steps are you going to take today? See, I want to get to the mountaintop, but here I am. How am I going to get there? And am I clear? What are the steps that I can take today that are bringing me in that direction? So we don't waste time. So many things distract us. Many people go by year after year and they find what? For those of us who've been here for a while, we can take out our little aspiration cards from the last couple of years and go, wow, I said exactly the same things today. Now again, I mean, that's okay. I mean, a lot of these aspirations are big, but I mean, it's, what I'm saying? We want to see some movement over the years, some movement in the direction of. If like last year I said, yeah, I'm really going to change this relationship and how I relate to this person, you know what I mean? And today we're going, yeah, I really got to change my relationship, you know what I mean? We know somehow I lost it last year. You say, I forgot about it. And these things you write down are just for you. Okay, we're not going to burn them. You're going to take them home with you. You're going to post them on your fridge. You're going to keep them alive in you every day. And as I said, that'll keep it strong. Aspiration has to be nurtured. Because for many of us, living that way, living a life of conscious aspiration is very new to us. We're used to just kind of going along, right? Going along with life. So, I mean, conscious aspiration is like a clarity. Yeah, my karma, my life, my situation, all that. I can see how it has led me here. But now, sitting in this place, clear, seeing all the possible options in life for me, yeah, this is where I choose to move my life. You see how that is? It's kind of a moment of clarity, a moment of bigger picture. And then, of course, so what I'm saying is in your writing things down, big, but then small. Global, but then very concrete. Okay, so like, what is this going to look like day to day? In the choices you make, the way you do your relationships, the whole deal. What's this going to look like if I'm really manifesting? So that'll be And then we'll have some dedication at the end, and then we will have, we'll eat together. I guess many of you have brought food and helpful. So we'll have time to share with each other. Yeah, and that's kind of it. I mean, just follow the schedule, I guess. Is it getting warm in here? Yeah, you see, this is it. Some people go, perfect. Some people go, too hot, right? And if I said, well, how many people would like us to put on the AC? Some will go, yes, please, been waiting for it. Others will go, no, you sit down. This is this life. Basically, you just can't make people happy. But when you understand that, that's okay. There'll always be some people will be happy, others will be unhappy, no matter how things go in the world. Right? Some will hate war, some will love war. That's the truth. Okay, so if you need to move a little bit, because we're going to go now into the reflections on the past year. So if you need to move, why don't we just get a little AC? I think because it's only going to get warmer with so many people in here, and it's only the day's going to warm up. And again, some people are going, oh, now they're very happy, So anyhow, it won't be big, but it'll be just a little. And again, and soon we'll be getting up for the burning. So I may say it again, but those in the hall, we can begin. Some people, I think, went to the restroom. Yeah, so again, when everybody's back, I'll probably repeat it, but yeah, just close your eyes and just begin to reflect on the past year. And again, so, again, this part that we call repentance, again, some of you come from religious traditions where like repentances are loaded words. So this is not that. Okay? This is just, somebody translated that as repentance. But it means, again, just, looking back over your past year. And it can be different things. It can be, again, interactions or things you said. We act with our words, and we act with our bodies, our deeds. This is the way we are known. What's going on in our mind is really what we know, right? So when we look back, we look to the actions of our body, things we did. Again, and usually in actions of our body, it's not only that we hurt somebody with our body, but the things we do with our body. Like eating is something we do with our body, or other kinds of activities, and we go, oh, not good, not good. Not good for my well-being, not good for the well-being of others. Same way with our words, our speech. We can look back and think of the things we say. specific things we have said to people, or in another tradition, they talk about sins of omission and sins of commission, right? So, I mean, there may be things we said, or things maybe we could have said, and we regret not saying them. Actions we could have done with our body, maybe to help or something, and then we didn't. And then most deeply, of course, is our mind and the privacy, the mind states that we might have indulged, the angers or the hatred we might have nurtured, the judgments about others that we might have continually repeated in our mind. When we look back and we think, yeah, that didn't serve me well. That's not really supporting the way I want to be. So it's really a whole range from very minute, specific kind of interactions, mind states, situations that may have happened in the past year that we look back with regret, or sort of patterns. Opportunities that we didn't take advantage of. Overtly may not be harmful, but we realize in a certain way it was harming. And let me just say, while you're writing, we'll all stay in here together and then do the repentance poem together and then go outside. If when I start the gata, the poem, if you still have more to write, you can stay and write. There's no hurry, okay? Just really want. Again, sometimes there are just layers. Memory is a tricky thing. So sometimes it's sort of just a willingness to uncover. Again, we'll all be staying in the hall together and not going out and burning till after. And it's also helpful if you have time to even reflect a little bit on, what was underneath these actions of body, speech, and mind. Sometimes, we were just swept away. But sometimes we look back and we realize, no, there was something going on there that I was not attending to. That I look back and, so it's helpful to understand ourselves. It is understanding that really frees us. So again, it's a certain way of willingness to be honest with ourselves. Like it's said in other traditions, it's an acknowledgement sort of our dark side, our shadow side, our egocentric side, so to speak, that often pushes us. Desire to control, all kinds of things we do. It's often an interesting thing when you feel like you've kind of come to the end, just to kind of drop the question down into your mind. Is there anything else? And just see what comes up spontaneously. So the year is 12 months. We all have our lives, our life within ourselves, so to speak, our own actions of body, speech, and mind, and commitments and all that. But, we exist in relationships, family, friendships, work, society. Many places we show up. There may be things as we look back in the year, just sitting here in the meditation hall, in the Dharma hall, that we see our past actions of body, speech, and mind, the mind states we've indulged, perhaps differently than we might have seen them even before we came here this morning. Different, so to speak, criteria to assess our life. Big things or little things. So for the sake of staying on schedule, why don't we all together do this poem, repentance poem together. For those you still want to, are still in process, you can stay in the hall. And traditionally, we do these things 3 times, body, speech, and mind. So please, you don't have to, but sometimes it's good to put your hands together. And please repeat after me line by line. All wrongdoing arises from the mind.
All wrongdoing arises from the mind.
When the mind is purified, what trace of wrong is left?
When the mind is purified, what trace of wrong is left?
After repentance, my heart is light, like the white clouds.
After repentance, my heart is light, like the white clouds.
That have always floated over the ancient forest in freedom.
That have always floated over the ancient forest in freedom.
For the second time, all wrongdoing arises from the mind.
All wrongdoing arises from the mind.
When the mind is purified, what trace of wrong is left?
When the mind is purified, what trace of wrong is left?
After repentance, my heart is light like the white clouds.
After repentance, my heart is light like the white clouds.
That have always floated over the ancient forest in freedom.
That have always floated over the ancient forest in freedom.
For the third time, all wrongdoing arises from the mind.
All wrongdoing arises from the mind.
When the mind is purified, what trace of wrong is left?
When the mind is purified, what trace of wrong is left?
After repentance, my heart is light like the white clouds.
After repentance, my heart is light like the white clouds.
That have always floated over the ancient forest in freedom.
That have always floated over the ancient forest in freedom.
So for those who are ready, you can just, don't be in a hurry, slowly, wherever each step. Go outside, back into the garden, and you'll see people there directing you. Again, feel free. When you throw that piece of paper, feel like you're free. Right? You've done a full acknowledgement. You're ready to begin anew. So, and then if you want to stay outside in the garden for a few minutes, use those restroom, we will resume our ceremony around 12:15, and there'll be a little gong to tell us all to come together.
And just a note, as you're walking outside and you'll get your shoes, go down the stairs and go to the left. And then I think there'll be people guiding you, but just in case, stay to your left because the other people will be coming back on the other side.
And again, we're in noble silence for the ceremony.
In gratitude, we offer this incense throughout space and time to all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. May it be fragrant as earth herself, reflecting careful efforts, wholehearted awareness, and the fruit of understanding slowly ripening. May we and all beings be companions of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. May we awaken from forgetfulness and realize our true home.
So next we will practice bowing deeply in gratitude. And everybody will just be bowing in your seat. We won't be standing, so we simply bow like that. I'll read the line of gratitude and invite the bell, and we'll all bow together. And then when I wake up the bell, we can come back to the seated position. In gratitude to our father and mother who have given us life, we bow deeply. In gratitude to our teachers who have shown us how to understand, love, and live deeply in the present moment, we bow deeply. In gratitude and compassion to our friends who guide us and support us always, including during difficult moments, we bow deeply. In gratitude to all those who have made us suffer and who have helped us develop patience, compassion, and understanding, we bow deeply. In gratitude to all beings in the animal, plant, and mineral worlds, and to this land and all of the ancestors who made it available, we bow deeply. And so next, some of our Sangha members will be reading the beginning anew from the Plum Village Chanting Book. And we'll begin with Kevin.
With great respect, we turn toward the conqueror of afflictions, offering heartfelt words of repentance. We have lived in forgetfulness for a long time. As we have not had the opportunity to encounter the Dharma, our habit energies have led us into suffering. We have made many mistakes out of unskillfulness. We've been blinded by our wrong perceptions for a very long time. Our heart's garden is sown with attachment, hatred, and pride. In us are seeds of killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, and lies. Our everyday deeds and words do damage. All these wrong actions are obstacles to our peace and joy. Let us begin anew.
We see that we have been thoughtless, straying from the path of mindfulness. We have stored up afflictions and ignorance, which have brought about so much aversion and sorrow. There are times we have been weary of life because we are so full of anxiety. Because we do not understand others, we are angry and resentful. First, we try to reason with each other. Then we blame. Every day, the suffering increases, making the rift greater. There are days when we are unwilling to speak to each other, unwilling to look each other in the face, and we create internal formations which last for a long time. Now we turn to the three jewels. Sincerely recognizing our errors, we bow our heads.
We know so well that in our consciousness are buried all the wholesome seeds, seeds of love and understanding, and seeds of peace and joy. But because we do not know how to water them, the wholesome seeds do not sprout fresh and green. We continue to allow sorrow to overwhelm us until there is no light in our lives. When we chase after a distant happiness, life becomes but a shadow of the reality. Our mind is occupied by the past or worrying about this or that in the future. We cannot let go of our anger, and we consider of no value the precious gifts of life which are already in our hands, thereby trampling on real happiness. As month follows month, we are sunk in sorrow. So now in the precious presence of the Buddha, fragrant with the sandalwood essence, we recognize our errors and begin anew.
With all our heart, we go for refuge, turning to the Buddhas in the 10 directions, and all the Bodhisattvas, noble disciples, and self-achieved Buddhas. Very sincerely, we recognize our errors and the mistakes of our wrong judgments. Please bring the balm of clear water to pour on the roots of our afflictions. Please bring the raft of the true teachings to carry us over the ocean of sorrows. We vow to live an awakened life, to practice smiling and conscious breathing, and to study the teachings authentically transmitted. Diligently, we shall live in mindfulness.
We come back to live in the wonderful present, to plant our heart's garden with good seeds, and to make strong foundations of understanding and love. We vow to train ourselves in mindfulness and concentration, practicing to look and understand deeply, to be able to see the nature of all that is, and so to be free of the bonds of birth and death. We learn to speak lovingly, to be affectionate, to care for others, whether it is early morn or late afternoon, to bring the roots of joy to many places, helping people to abandon sorrow, to respond with deep gratitude to the kindness of parents, teachers, and friends. With deep faith, we light up the incense of our heart. We ask the Lord of compassion to be our protector on the wonderful path of practice. We vow to practice diligently, cultivating the fruits of this path.
So this is now the shift. This is Ebenezer Scrooge waking up in the morning, finding he's still alive. There's a whole life still ahead of him, and he vows to chart a new way for himself. So this is the process. So here we are, my friends, at this pivotal moment. So please now get out your other card. And this is, again, not pie in the sky. Maybe in the past, where it's pie in the sky kind of intentions, but like really, from your heart. What do you want to manifest in this coming year? What do you want to put aside, Just wanting a different life for ourselves does not offset our past conditioning, our habit energies. It is only, again, this very conscious clarity that will be strong enough to sustain us in a new direction. So again, please be real, please be authentic. Begin where you are, not where you'd like to be. Again, the aspiration is the mountaintop, but each of us are beginning our journey, our climb from where we are. So it's the steps along the way, but it's also what are the step by steps? Where do I begin? This transformative journey. Some people are at the beginning of their transformative journey. Some people are along the way, whatever that means to you. But certainly we should be chastened a little bit by the process we just went through with our regrets. This gives us a sense of who we're dealing with here, right? We all have to deal with this person, in other words, ourself. So knowing who we are, knowing our causes and conditions, we want to be very kind of grounded and clear in charting our future. Again, aspiration can be vast. In our tradition, we vow to become a Buddha, nothing bigger than that. We vow to benefit all beings, nothing bigger than that. To end all suffering, this is big. But, how are we going to do it? How do we receive the training and the support to nourish us on our journey? So again, this is for you to take home. Take your time. No one's going to see this, so you can be very open with yourself. And don't be afraid by kind of holding a high bar to yourself. Many people are afraid of that. Sometimes that's what we need. Again, the aspiration can be large and cut across all areas of our life. but yet the implementation goes on in the reality of our life, in the way we live our life, the choices we make, our relationships, who we hang out with, how we talk, what we do. At home, at work, in all the various places our life takes us, relationships. This is really about living a mindful life, living a conscious life, where we're mindful of our values, we're mindful of our aspirations, our commitments. So sometimes the idea of living, what does it mean to live a conscious life where I'm really living in awareness? Aware of the actions of my body, speech, and mind, aware of consequences, effects, short and long term. Since this is really about a kind of a spiritual maturation process we go through, where we really become, fully responsible human beings, taking responsibility for the actions of our body, speech, and mind. We know we cannot control the actions of body, speech, and mind of others. Many of us have learned that the hard way. But we can with ourselves. Will we be 100% successful? No. That's why we call it practice. That's why every day we begin anew. Again, just for saying somewhat on schedule, we're already behind, but that's fine. We sometimes have to sacrifice time to meaning and value. It's a good trade-off sometimes. So let's say one more minute. Doesn't mean, again, you can't continue this process later. Modify it every day if you need to. It should be a process. So one more minute, and then everyone has a chanting sheet, and we'll have our chanting service. At the end of which we'll have our dedication, closing words. And just a note, there will be a half-day workshop next Saturday called Empowering Our Lives with Aspiration, Intention, and Vows. So for people who want a little more nurturance of this, support of this, a little more concrete ways how to do that, that's what that workshop next week is for. Just go to the website and sign up. So shall we begin our chanting service?
So we'll begin with the sutra opening verse. Everybody should have gotten one of these documents. It's the first chant. I'll begin with 3 bells, and then we all recite together. And people at home should have it on the screen. Scott's displaying it. And next we will recite the heart of the Prajnaparamita. In this, I'll begin with the bell and the beginning incantation, and then Maria Teresa will begin on the drum. She'll do 1 beat, and then we'll begin all together on the 2nd beat. And it's basically 1 syllable for each beat for those who are new. And so next we will recite the 5 mindfulness trainings. Brothers and sisters, please listen. The 5 mindfulness trainings are the basis for a happy life. They have the capacity to protect life and to make it beautiful and worth living. They are also the door that opens to enlightenment and liberation. Please listen to each of the mindfulness trainings and answer yes silently every time you see that you have made an effort to study, practice, and observe the mindfulness training read. The first mindfulness training, reverence for life.
Do not kill. Do not let others kill. Find whatever means possible to protect life. Do not live with a vacation that is harmful to humans and nature.
The second mindfulness training, true happiness.
Do not steal. Possess nothing that should belong to others. Respect the property of others, but prevent others from enriching themselves from human suffering and the suffering of other species on earth.
True love. Sexual expression should not take place without love and long-term commitment. Be fully aware of the suffering you may cause others as a result of your conduct. To preserve the happiness of yourself and others, respect the rights and commitments of others.
The fourth mindfulness training, loving speech and deep listening.
Do not say untruthful things. Do not spread news that you do not know to be certain. Do not criticize or condemn things that you are not sure of. Do not utter words that cause division and hatred, that can create discord and cause the family or the community to break. All efforts should be made to reconcile and resolve all conflicts.
The fifth mindfulness training, nourishment and healing.
Do not use alcohol, drugs, or any other products which contain toxins, such as certain websites, electronic games, TV programs, films, magazines, books, and conversations. Consume in a way that preserves peace, joy, and well-being in your body and consciousness, and in the collective body and consciousness of your family, your society, and the earth. Cultivate good health, both physical and mental, by practicing mindful eating, drinking, and consuming. Practice looking deeply into how you consume the 4 kinds of nutriments, namely edible foods, sense impressions, volition, and consciousness.
And next, Maria Teresa will read words from Praising the Buddha in the Plum Village Chanting Book.
The inexhaustible virtues of the world-honored one cannot be adequately praised. We, in the Florida Community of Mindfulness, on this day, gather as a fourfold Sangha, come to the altar, meditate, and chant. Praise the virtuous actions of the Buddha and offer this prayer. May the path of the Buddha grow brighter. May the Dharma become clearer. May wind and rain be favorable. May this country be at peace in the cities and rural areas. May all follow the way of right practice. May nature be safe. May people in society be free and equal. May the refreshing breeze of compassion enter into this world of heat, allowing the sun of wisdom to shine clearly in the cloudy sky, so that the path of liberation is appreciated everywhere and the Dharma rain falls, benefiting all species. May the Sangha that is present here practice diligently, showing concern and love for each other, as we would for their own family. Transforming their consciousness, we aspire to follow the example of the Bodhisattva Samantabhadra and Avalokiteshvara and all the other Bodhisattva Mahasattvas and the great perfection of wisdom.
May beings everywhere who suffer torment in their minds and bodies have by virtue of my merit joy and happiness in boundless measure. As long as they may linger in samsara, may their present joy know no decline, and may they taste of unsurpassed beatitude in constant and unbroken continuity. Throughout the spheres and reaches of the world, in hellish states wherever they may be, may beings fettered their tormentor taste the bliss and peace of the Pure Land. May those caught in the freezing ice be warmed, and from the massing clouds of bodhisattva prayers may the torrents rain in boundless streams to cool those burning and infernal fires. May the hail of lava, fiery stones, and weapons henceforth become a rain of blossom. May those whose hell it is to fight and wound return to lovers, offering their flowers. May the stooping animals be freed from fear of being preyed upon, each other's food. And may the famished beings have such joy as those who dwell within the most wondrous regions. And may the blind receive their sight, and may the deaf begin to hear, and women near their time bring forth like the Buddha's mother, free from any pain. And may the naked now be clothed, and all the hungry eat their fill, and may those parched with thirst receive pure waters and delicious drink. May the poor and destitute find wealth, the haggard and the careworn joy. May confidence relieve those in despair and bring them steadfastness in every accident. May every being ailing with disease be freed at once from every malady. May all the sickness that afflicts the living be instantly, permanently healed. May those who go in dread have no more fear. May the captives be unchained and now set free. May the weak receive their strength. May living beings help each other in kindness. The children and the old, the weak, protectorless, bewildered in the wild and pathless wastes, and those whose minds are dulled, and those who are all insane, have pure celestial beings as their guardians. May all attain the human state and be possessed of wisdom, faith, and love. With perfect livelihood and sustenance, may they have mindfulness throughout their lives. May everyone have unrestricted wealth, just like the treasury of space, enjoying it according to their wish without a trace of harm or enmity. May beings destitute of splendor become magnificent and bright, and those worn down by toil and drudgery acquire great beauty and perfection. And thus, by all the merit I have gained, may every being, leaving none aside, abandon all their evil ways, embracing goodness now and evermore. And may these beings, each and every one, enjoy an unsurpassed longevity, living always in contentment. May the very name of death be strange to them. On every side, in all the 10 directions, May groves of wish-fulfilling trees abound, resounding with the sweetness of the teachings spoken by the Buddhas and their bodhisattva children. The bird song and the sighing of the trees from shafts of light from the sky itself, may living beings, each and every one, perceive the constant sound of Dharma. May they come into the presence of the Buddhas, meet with the bodhisattvas, offspring of the same, with clouds of offerings unbounded. May the teachers of the world be worshipped. May kindly spirits bring rain on time for harvests be rich and plentiful. May the governments rule according to the truth, and may the world be blessed with prosperity. Let no being ever suffer pain, let them neither ail nor languish, never doing evil. May they have no fear nor suffer insults, and may their minds be ever free from sorrow. Wise and learned be revered, and always be sustained by offerings, with minds suffused with purity. May their renown spread far and wide. May all the bodhisattvas now fulfill their high intention for the sake of beings, and centering beings likewise now receive the good the Buddhas have in store with them. Now, as long as space endures, as long as there are beings to be found, may I continue likewise to remain, to drive away the sorrows of the world. Pains and sorrows of all wandering beings, may they ripen wholly on myself. The virtuous company of bodhisattvas bring about the happiness of beings. May the Dharma, the remedy for suffering, the source of every bliss and happiness, be nurtured and held with reverence, and throughout a vast continuance of time, endure forever. So friends, that is from the dedication section of just one of the most wonderful Buddhist texts, 8th century Shantideva, The Way of the Bodhisattva, from his dedication chapter, and I really recited it for all of us. This is our, we may not be capable as individuals, but as a community, we are more capable. We put all our energies together, and as more and more communities, more and more people embrace this kind of vision for life, there is hope for this world. So again, thank you for joining us, those here, those online. Again, we are not alone. We all make our vows and intentions. We set them ourselves. We all have them to take home. But we are not alone. We have a community, we have a sangha, we have the teachings and practices and other things to support us. Thich Nhat Hanh always made it one of the hallmarks of his Dharma, that in this day and age we cannot practice alone. The forces of consumerism and meaninglessness are too powerful, and so we need community, we need support. Some people feel that's kind of a sign of weakness. I think it's a sign of strength to know that we are not alone and that we need each other. Sometimes I may practice well and I can inspire you. Sometimes you can, practice well and inspire me. We inter-are. So anyway, Happy New Year. Thank you all for coming. Thank you online. And for those in the hall, we'll be having food. You'll give instructions. So what are we gonna do now?
Bow.
Oh, we're gonna bow. So I do.
So with the sound of the first small bell, please uncross your legs and prepare to stand. And with the next bell, please rise. May all the benefit that has come from our practice and intentions be shared equally with all whom we encounter, whether near or far away, and may its effects ripple continuously to aid in the healing and transformation of the world. And then if everybody would face center, and as Fred said, it sure is nice to have a sangha to support us on this path. So we bow in gratitude to each other.